and then we pulled down how to configure and how to get into it. Then we pulled down the actual command architecture, and then we pulled down the commands and command resources for it. We built our own communication transportation for the blasted thing. It's that simple to get to you. And if I can get to you, guess who else is watching you? I love this one. Here you go, Bubba. And these guys, some of these guys, not necessarily him unfortunately, but some of these guys can be a little bit more sophisticated. They have the ability to do their own intelligence gathering. So what else? Phase 2, as we like to use it, external network. What is your external presence? How well are you guys looked after? This was great. I love actually, it's actually nice having this because I can do this. This organization passed PCI. Oh, it's got 3306 open, not a problem. Ah, easy done. Unfortunately, the root password was blank. Not the best thing on the planet. This one was even better. This was a good one. We had some fun with this. There it is, this one. This was good. I don't want to get up on stage yet. Nice when the user ID and password is pre-filled. Very, very useful when you log on port 80. It's like, oh look, it's already there for me. Click, enter, access, turn off your Windows systems. How many of you guys use remote desktop? Actually, no, I'm not going to ask that because it'll just encourage me to go make friends with you. RDP, probably close enough to being public enemy, arguably public enemy number 1. It's too blasted easy to sit there, scan your system, pull up RDP and go, oh look, I can log into the Windows XP, Windows 7, 2003 box. This default admin ID and password. Default admin probably not going to ever lock me out. Therefore, I'll spend the next week or two blacking into it. Which is what happened in this one. The one down the bottom here. So look from the shadows. This one. They got owned. It took them about 2 weeks to break the ID and password. It then took them a further, we worked out when we did the forensics on it, a couple of hours to get in, scan the network, find out where the point of sale systems were, bot the point of sale systems and start pulling off credit card information. A couple of months later, give or take a bit, they get the invariable phone call from PCI going, hello, you're the common point of compromise, have a nice day. At which point in time we get dragged into it. Why? Because the security guy, the physical security guy, wanted some surveillance cameras, didn't want to bother IT, plugged them into the network and said, oh, I want to look at them from home. Why don't you just poke a hole out to the internet? Well done, that man. So, this is where it gets kind of interesting, because the next couple of phases are internal. So you have to let the scary 6'3" guy into your network. So I put the suit on, it doesn't look quite so scary, although it probably looked worse. But damn, we haven't seen him like this. This is where you have to let the pen tester guys loose into your infrastructure. Why? Because most organizations are nice and crunchy on the outside. But inside, most of you, if you look inside your heart, are all squishy. You have, in this case, an extremely nice brocade system. You know the brocades with the decrews? It encrypts at rest, it encrypts on the flight. Totally cool device. But not if you leave the default IDs and passwords on the blasted thing. Change it. Same with this nice Hitachi data system. It's a really nice thing, totally cool. Tells me exactly where all the filers are, where all the LUNs are, and I can suck off the SQL databases and your HR database and your corporate database. But if you don't protect the blasted thing, I'm going to own it. And if I can socially engineer my way into your physical facility, this is another reason why I have these funny feet, because I can climb fences in them. And most of the time I can climb the fences and most of the people aren't watching the surveillance cameras, if the darn things are even plugged in. So now I'm in your facility, I plug in, and half an hour later, I'm pulling off your data. If I haven't come in, plugged in a Pony Express and got the heck out of there inside 2 minutes. Let somebody into your environment. Same thing with applications. So don't just let the guys look at the network, let them look at the applications. The stuff that your users use. Pokemon says it, FBI say it, they all say it. 60, 70-ish% of breaches come from the inside. And it isn't always malicious. It could be because Fred forgot to change his password, or he didn't do something, or he took his machine home and he forgot to do something about it, or he lost it and didn't tell IT for a month. All these things are considered breaches. And if you don't know how well logged down your applications and your systems are, you're never going to know, especially if you don't let the assessment guys into your network. Pinning them on the outside isn't helping anybody. Sure as heck isn't helping you guys, and it sure as heck isn't helping your customers. Now, Should we happen to take a look at your external network, and should we happen to scan it, and should we happen to see default Apache, default Red Hat, and I see a robots text file, and I can basically break the thing to give me Java errors? Systemically, I think, we have a bit of a problem. You guys don't care about patching, you don't care about security, what else can I do? Should you put up a website that says, hello, you suck, to your IT testing team? It's like waving a red back to a bull. That was fun. We've actually had that happen a couple of times now. In this instance, unfortunately, the brainiac that put that site up put it on the default CGI bin directory on an unpatched II6 web server. And we made friends with the web server, then we made friends with the base OS, then from the base OS we made friends with the DMZ, and then from the DMZ we made friends with their internal network, and we posted an internal website saying, no, we don't suck. You've got to have a little bit of fun sometimes. So, business partners, business vendors. We'll go back to the airplane guys for a second. We all know that the airplane companies don't build the blasted things. They have 100 companies that get round them, and it's like Lego. I love the stuff like, you're building this, and you're building this, and hopefully it all glues together in the end. Well, the nice thing about it is they put up a website, and it says for the aerospace systems, or the spectrum systems, or the aerospace and defense systems, here's who's building which bits of it. Great! Your vendors do the same thing. Hey, we're working with XYZ ABC company. This is the challenge we have, and I know some of the other security companies have as well. When we get approached, you go, oh, give us a reference. We're like, we can't. I'm not going to divulge who the heck I've just broken into. It's a tough one. So now we have the references. Now the other thing about this, Intellibus does an API. So Intellibus, how many of you guys fly on a semi-regular basis? Next time you fly, figure out what airplane you're flying on. If it's a Boeing, it runs something called an Intellibus network. We'll get into that in a minute. But the Intellibus network has an API. That API can be broken down. You can actually download the entire development environment for the Airbus system, if you know which vendor to ask nicely. And if you still think it's too short planks, you can actually get the entire architecture to figure out how to talk to the entire environment and the variables on the Intellibus architecture, which means you can start making friends with airplanes. Now, should you happen to want to work for the aerospace industry and the defense industry at the same time, and one of your vendors posts the entire DoD analog instrumentation stuff online, and by the way, this is publicly available if you know where to look, and don't get yelled at. This was posted by a DoD contractor. Needless to say, it probably shouldn't have been posted, because this gave me the ability to make friends with missiles. You think I'm bad with airplanes and cars? You wait till you see what we can do with missiles. So, it's fun. We have one doing loop-the-loops in a minute. So what else? This is another one which I think gets kind of interesting. Social engineering. We, the human element, are probably the worst. We're probably the easiest to fix and the cheapest, but we're probably the worst at it. A lot of you guys, not just here but out in the street, when I'm just walking around, people are like, oh, big scary guy, oh, yellow feet, let's make friends. At that point, I have elicited a reaction from you. That reaction allows me pretty much so now to interact with you, rather than looking at me as a 6-foot scary guy and going, whoa, my barrier is up. No, the barrier is down, you have scary, weird feet, let's talk. Or I get my pipe, I have a pipe. I don't smoke, but I have a pipe. Several of my guys smoke, and I think the only reason they do it is it makes them better pen testers. Because as they walk up to the smoking door and start puffing, or I've got my pipe and I'm walking up, it's like this band of brothers. It's like, oh, we're outcasts, nobody loves us. We all smoke together, quick, now come back into my company. I will escort you through the 2-man traps. I will allow you into my environment. I don't know who the heck you are, but you smoke, therefore you must be a friend. It's how it works. But if you don't know that that works, and if you don't know that your internal staff will ignore the scary guy who's not wearing a badge, that won't either shoot him or rugby tackle him or tear gas him or something, then you're never going to be able to fix the problem. So you've got to let the guys come in and do a little bit of social engineering. You've got to let us rummage around the bins and the desks. Why? Because how many of your staff leave their passwords or their ID badges in their desks? Most of them. We were on a secured lockdown facility, for crying out loud. This place deals with all sorts of agency rubbish. And we're on site, and I'm rummaging through desks. And I've got badges, and NSA badges, and green badges, and red badges, and I've got IDs, and I've got passwords, and I'm making a little stack of the blasted stuff.